Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Your first name is Neeta, right? Neeta?
I'm sorry I had the different headphones on.
No, that's
Sorry.
okay.
How are you? Thank you for
Pretty
giving
good.
me a time. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, sorry, it's a little bit like getting on. Your first name is it Neeta?
Yes, it is me.
Neeta, that's right. Yeah, because I know I've met you briefly, but not real well, I don't think.
No, not we haven't had a chance to really, talk to each other one on one. Yeah, just I met you the first time was in Browance when I first joined Browance in 2019, 13. And I just got too overwhelmed with my stories and
Uh-huh.
a lot of teamwork. I mean, whatever team I had on my head, like the new word for the team now, what we have, my stories. So, yeah, so I decided to join Bromance again last year.
Good.
Uh, and planning is, the goal is to be part of it forever to grow myself because what I have noticed is had I continued, I wouldn't be in the financial crisis that I am right now. Had I been in Bromance from day one, just like Joe says now, work harder now so tomorrow can be easier. So I know back in 2017 and that I mean 13, you talked about your 30, 60, 90-day formula, and I always wanted to know a little bit more about it, and I took the courage to call you this time around.
Okay.
So I actually got your book also. So
Good, good, good.
I read through it. I got my questions and my highlighted them and what we can do and what I could do to uh, get my how to present the 30, 60, 90 formula to my sellers.
Right. Well, I'll start off by saying that I just like to make it really simple for people. It's interesting, after I invented this thing, I've never turned back. I still use it today. Like every time I meet with a seller,
Hmm.
and I'll even use it somewhat with a buyer. Like, well, this is not their 30-day price. They've got this home listed at, or whatever. Or if it is listed at a 30-day price, I'll say, well, I just want you to know this home is like, in my opinion, listed at a 30-day price, which means it'll sell fast.
Hmm.
I just, and then if it's a 60-day price, I'll say, well, this home is listed as a 60-day price. It could be sitting on the market for a little while, or they could get an offer. And then if overpriced listing, I'll say, this home is priced at like my 90-day or more price. I always say 90-day or more
Hmm.
because 90 days could be more than 90 days because they have it overpriced.
Correct.
And and so when I talk to my sellers, one of the things that I do that's so amazing is they grasp it a lot quicker than you might think. Like you might be intimidated to maybe use it at first because you're not sure if they're going to understand it,
Right.
or you maybe are not sure if you have the confidence to portray it well enough. And I've had a lot of agents, especially newer agents. I'm not saying you're newer because you've been around a while, but a lot of newer ones that haven't done a lot of listings, they say, well, how can I really know what a 30-day price is? How can I really know what a 60-day price is? And how can I really know what a 90-day price is? Well, when I invented this strategy, I'd already been in the business for, more than 20 years. And so I had a lot of confidence in coming up with it. And I felt like it was a desperate time for me to come up with something like this because it was during the 2007 and 8 era when things were really falling apart back then.
Mm-hmm.
And the sellers just wanted the truth. They just really wanted to know what the truth of their home value was. They didn't want it to, they wanted their home sold, and it was a hard time back then to sell a home when you listed it. And so like I decided that when I created the form, like when you go in here, into this book, right? You go into the book
Mm-hmm.
and you turn to the Appendix A, which is on page 47.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you can't see that well.
No,
You
no,
just,
I know exactly which one you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
yeah, Appendix A, page 47. And so like
Right.
I use this form every single time. I maybe abbreviated it just a little bit so that it fits on a letter size, because when I first invented this, I put it on a legal size.
Yes, I still have those printouts. I still do.
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
So, but when I go into meet with the seller on this thing, this form is so familiar to me now. It's like, and nobody else is, none of my competition is using it, which is amazing, right? It's so great to use this document when you go in, and I put it on an NCR, which means that when I fill it out, this is the one thing that's still very old school. And by the way, with all this technology, we're doing Zoom right now and everything. When I have a Zoom initial consultation, this is the one document for sure that I take a picture of and I text it to them or email it to them. I do a quick scan of it and send it to them right away, because this is the form that this is the numbers they want. Like, I do all of my initial consultation stuff first, and the very last thing that I do is this page right here, because then they feel like they're complete. Like, yeah, the 5, 6, and 7 is probably up there as being also very important.
Mm-hmm.
This form, in my opinion, is also very important. And this document right here is like, to them, it's like what I am like a lot. I've heard from my clients anyway that a lot of agents, they won't even leave uh, any kind of numbers with them. They might give them a verbal something. They might give them a verbal price range, or they might even give them a price.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't. Most agents, a lot of them, maybe not most, maybe more than half, don't leave them anything like this Appendix A document. And if you do, I think you'll have a better chance of getting the listing, because you're being upfront with them, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself when you pull up the comps and when you give them not just the facts on the comp side, but your gut feeling, what's in your heart of what really a 30-day price is. And a 30-day price is slightly under market value, not a price gouging price,
Mm-hmm.
but it's slightly under market. And I let them know that. I say, hey, this is a price that's under market by a little bit. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you might say, well, Jim, what's a little bit? Well, it depends on, in my market, a starter home is around 365, and a move up home is around 450 to 500, maybe
Mm-hmm.
550. And a trophy home starts at about 800,000, maybe $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you had $1 million home, slightly under market value might be 925,000. It might be.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a home that was a starter home at 365,000,
Mm-hmm.
a slightly under market value might be, instead of 365, it might be 355. Only $10,000 difference.
Right.
Whereas the $1 million home was $75,000 difference.
Right. That's a
Okay,
ratio.
so it's a ratio thing.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
see what I mean? So like,
Mm-hmm.
that's where agents lose it. They think I'm supposed to tell them on these phone calls and Zoom meetings about this book, like, well, just tell me what it is. Well, I can't. Your market's different than mine. And every neighborhood in Denver is different than one neighborhood versus another neighborhood.
Right.
And so,
No, it's here too, Florida, in my
yeah, it's
area
the
too.
same thing.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
Florida, same thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
It's better to go with the percentage because then you can just apply that as or the ratio as opposed to, you know, mm,
yeah, you just have to do it on an individual case. Every
yeah,
case is an individual case.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
because yeah, because you have I actually really marked the whole of chapter 3, which is on 3, 4, and 5, because you have the 30, 60, and 90-day pricing, how to how to describe it.
okay, good, good, good,
Yeah,
good.
that's what you know. Um,
That's a good chapter.
yeah,
Yeah, that
those 3 chapters, right? Yeah, they and you actually do. I think you said 5% below. So yeah, that's a good one. So you have to actually take this and look at the appendix. I'm just trying because see, I've always been a buyer's agent, and for the last 5 or 6 years, I'm trying to get more listings than I am getting. But
okay,
and I do loans too. I mean, I'm a loan officer, a mortgage broker. So just
okay,
because of COVID and just to have another alternative because we don't know how the market is going to go, started
right,
doing residential. I activated my license and put it under somebody else other than my own.
okay.
So I want to get into the listing side also, but I like the fact that you use it even for the buyers. And so you do the comps for them, which we do anyways, and you can tell them, hey, if it's a 30-day pricing, you better jump on it right away. In 60-day, you don't know. You might
Well, if it's a 30-day price and they're getting multiple offers, you know what you need to do there. You probably need to come in above list price. So
right. Right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
there's there's always that. But if the key to it all is just becoming practiced with using the language of the 30, 60, 90 language.
Yeah.
And when you use that, and so there's occasionally, by the way, Nita, that sometimes people still don't get it at the beginning. They still don't get it. And you have to explain it this way. If they say, well, Jim, I still don't really understand what a 30-day price is and what's a 60, what it, and I say, well, think of it this way. If you were a buyer and you were looking for a home, okay, so you're selling your home, but if you were a buyer and the home was like priced very competitively and it was a tip, like when you walked in the front door, you would say, wow, this is, it doesn't even matter if the house is nice or not inside. If even if it's a fix up and it's priced right or under like 30-day price, it would be under the market. If it's a house that's fixed up and it's still slightly under what they could get in fixed up condition, then that's a 30-day price. And you would say, hey, it would attract more people and it's more than likely going to sell in 30 days or less. I mean, it may not close in 30 days, but it'll sell in 30 days more than likely
Right.
or less. There's no guarantee. You can't use the word, you can't, you have to say it should sell within 30 days or less. You have to be careful with your language
Right.
because there's no guarantee, but like based on history and your gut feeling and what's in your heart and your experience as a realtor, then you can give them some confidence that you have the knowledge of what that is. And see, so like when you read the book, there's a part in there that says, I used to give people a price range, and when I say their home was worth from 500 to 600,000, they would pick what price?
Right. I remember.
They'd
Yeah.
pick 600.
The higher one, the highest.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
say, well, your house is worth somewhere between 500 and 600,000. Where do you want to price it? Well, let's go 600, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? That's your 90-day price. You probably aren't going to get 600 because it's pushing at the very high end. Your 30-day price is 500,000. So if you want to get a slightly under market, and 550 is your 60-day price or whatever. I'm just using numbers.
Right.
And so if you can frame it, like Joe always talks about, like framing things.
Right.
That's all this book is about is framing a price so that people can comprehend. Because you probably remember another part in the book where I said, before I use this, we'd come up with a price and I'd be walking out the front door and they say, okay, Jim, now that we have our home listed for 500,000, how quick do you think our home will be selling? And I would say, well, gosh, that's a really good question. I don't know. Like we'll just have to see. And they kind of lost a little bit of my credibility when I said that. And I quickly learned that they really want to know how quick I think the house will sell. They really want to know our opinion. And so I started doing all of my evaluations around the timing of this whole thing. Like, okay, so if you price it at this price, if you price it at 500, you're more than likely going to sell in 30 days. That's just a good price. That's just like, it's you might get 520 for it, but you know what? If you price it at 500 and you want this and you need to be in Florida in 30 days or 60 days, then you probably better price it at 500,000 because you want your kids to be in the school system before September starts. You don't want to be fooling around with this thing because that's the beauty of this whole concept is because when I go through the 5, 6, and 7, after I go through the 5, 6, and 7, the very next question I ask them is, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, can you tell me what your perfect timing is on getting this home sold? What is your perfect timing? So you should write that down because when I ask them that question after I go through the 5, 6, and 7, because they don't usually talk about the timing in the 5, 6, and 7. So that's just the natural next question I ask is, what's your perfect timing? And this is before I've done the 30, 60, 90, right? So like I have a piece of paper that I work with that's the 5, 6, and 7. In fact, I think that might be in here.
Yes, it is. And that was going to be another quick question for you later on, not to sidetrack you, but it is there. It is there.
Yeah, and let's just look at that real quick. Okay, so, okay, so that form has changed just a little bit. That's Appendix D. And at the very end, it says, describe to me a perfect sale. And rather than ask that question, I now just ask, describe to me your best timing, or, what's your best timing? And so like 9 times out of 10, they say to me, 9 times out of 10, they say, well, we would like to sell our home, like really quick. And I go, well, like what do you mean by really quick? Do you mean like in 2 weeks and 30 days and 60 days? Like how quick do you really want this home sold? Oh, we would love to get it sold like within 2 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. And so then I write it down, right? I write it down. And so then when I get to the 30, 60, 90, and I show them my 30-day price and my 60 and my 90, and I go, you remember when I asked you the question, describe to me your perfect timing? Then they say, oh, yeah, I said 2 to 4 weeks.
Right.
But we want more money, though. Well, if you do the 60-day price, we may not make your timing, just so you know. And they're going to go, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, we're willing to take the risk, but it's the least they know. See, so even if they picked like the 60-day price, at least they know that they really want the home so quick, but they didn't pick the 30-day quick price. And I'm okay with that. I'm going to let them choose, but they can't come back to me and blame me for not telling them that they should have picked the 30-day price. Now, I also let them know that if you don't pick the 30-day price, depending on where the market's going, you might have a new 30-day price 30 days from now. And they go, what do you mean by that? Well, if the market goes up, you might get more. But if it doesn't go up and it goes down, you might have a new lower 30-day price.
Yeah. And plus it's their decision. You're giving them options and they made the decision. So yeah, that safe.
And that's why you want to date this.
Mm-hmm.
This Appendix A. That's why you always want to date it, because you could say, well, like I've had people where I do the evaluation, like literally sometimes months before they list their home because they're getting their home ready. I do the evaluation, right, the CMA, and then they call me back, or we get in touch with each other months later, and they say, hey, Jim, we're now ready. We're ready to pick your 30-day price. And I say, well, before you just say that's my 30-day price, did you realize that I met you back on August 15th of 2019 when we did that? And they're going, oh my gosh, it was that long ago? We had no idea. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know how time gets away from all of us?
Right. Yeah.
So you have to date that form. And then you say, well, when I met you, it was August 15th, 2019. I'm going to re-pull the comps, and I'm going to tell you if anything has changed. I'm going to tell you if the market's gone up or if it's gone down. And if it has, we're going to reevaluate each of those prices, the 30 and the 60 and the 90. And then I ask them, oh, by the way, have you done anything to your home since August 15th? And to say, oh yeah, well, we've done 3 of the things on your room by room review list. So in the room by room review list, I give them a list of things I recommend to do. And I say, well, can you invite me back into your home so that I can see how that looks? Because that'll help me evaluate the new 30, 60, 90-day pricing.
Right.
It's very important to like kind of cover yourself on all of this, you know.
Right.
And yeah, and now that you're going to be more like or trying to be more of a listing agent, these are really great techniques, really, for you to learn. So
Thank you for sharing. So when you do go for your initial consultation with any of the sellers, you do the 5, 6, and 7 with them. You know, you give them the option, like we have do the presentation, and you ask them the timing question, what they
right.
see, and then you do the 30, 60, 90, and you kind of connect the timing with the 30, 60 and give them the option. And then you leave them with the room to room.
Yeah, so I do an NCR on the not well, I give them a packet usually if it's in person, right? If not, I'll send it to them electronically.
Okay.
But I actually will give them an NCR copy if I do meet them in person of to-do list items. I have a
Okay.
couple sitting in my briefcase right now, in fact, right over here. And it's so interesting to go back to see what they've accomplished.
Oh, okay.
You know, and some, like I had a seller recently that I have everything happen, but I have a seller up in the mountains here in our local mountains. They did every single thing on the list. I mean, a lot of people do, like, they're so good. And I give them an opportunity for me to hire a home stager too. Like, and most of them won't do that. So I try to be fairly detailed, almost kind of like a home stager myself. Probably not as detailed as a real good home stager, but almost like,
Mm-hmm.
because just been doing this for so long, I know what people need to do. So I give them the to-do list. Now I also have them help me create the to-do list on the room by room review,
Okay.
because I don't want them to feel left out, like I'm just telling them everything they need to do. You know, like I say, well, let's go down this list together now that I've been through your home. And like, first of all, the first thing I ask them is, what do you just plan on doing? And they might say, well, we're going to do this, and we're going to paint this room. We're going to fill in the cracks in the concrete on the driveway. And we're going to, and I start making a list for them, because a lot of times they don't have their own list.
Right.
So I said, let's make a list together. And
Mm-hmm.
then I say, hey, so I've got a couple of other ideas for you now that you've completed your ideas. I have a couple more ideas for you. Are you open to that? And they say, yeah, but that's why you're here. We want to hear what you think we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And most people are that open, you know, they want to hear our opinion. And so then I add about 3 to 4 or 5 or 10 or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I can usually fill out, I think there's a checklist of about 10 or 15, and it says should do, could do, don't do. Have you seen that list before?
No, no.
Yeah, so you should go to by referral only, and there is a room by room review. You
That
can
I do
pull it,
have. Okay.
and then at the very end is the list that you create for them, and it's called the should do, could do, don't do list. And there's boxes where you check them.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why that is why I'm talking about that so much is that when you go to your appendix A,
Mm-hmm.
which actually this one's old.
Oh,
This is
okay.
this was made in 2008. Okay. So my new one, which I could probably get my assistant to send you new stuff. If you
Please. Okay.
right after the 30, 60, 90 in here on that page,
Right.
right below that I have added since then. I have added that in current condition or in recommended updated condition,
Oh,
something
okay.
like something like that. And I have that in there, and then it's kind of just a checkbox, and it says based on the room by room review. And so like if they say to me when I'm giving them 30, 60, 90-day price, if they say, well, Jim, I want you to figure the pricing based on that we've done everything that you recommended.
Okay.
Because we're going to do everything. And I'm going, okay, just so you know that if I give you the 30, 60, 90 and you don't do everything, then these numbers don't apply. And they go,
Right.
okay, that's fair enough. And
Yeah. Yeah,
so
because you're
that's
giving them
one,
the responsibility. Mm-hmm.
yeah, because like they have to know that this pricing is based on stuff that they're going to do. And if they don't do it, then the prices aren't going to be that high because I'm going to give them a little bit higher price on each one if they say they're going to paint the entire inside and outside of the house. If they're going to do all that, I'm going to give them a pretty good, I'm going to bump my 30, 60, 90 up pretty good, as long as they pick a good color.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, you talk to my painter, he'll help you pick out some good neutral colors, to paint your house. And if you use my painter, then we'll give you, get the paint colors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are the kind of conversations you have with your people. You have to be the leader,
Leader.
you have to be
Yeah.
the leader. You have to
Yeah.
be, and they're going to be blown away after your appointment if you integrate a lot of this stuff into your listing initial consultation, because I promise you, like I hired a new agent about 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and she goes, I want to go on. She was so serious. She goes, I want to go with you on your listing appointments because I want to learn this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the first couple that she went on, she was blown away. She said, I've been on some listing appointments. I've never done anything like you've done it. She goes, this is so great.
Yeah. Well, that's what I visualize. These days I'm visualizing, because I do have people that know, like, and trust me. It's just the presentation. And when they walk away and they don't work with me, it's like, why didn't they work with me?
Yeah,
And,
it's not, this
and
isn't foolproof, but at the
no,
same time, I think your percentages will go way up if you include a lot of this stuff in your consultations with your sellers,
right.
and especially ones that don't know you that well. And so the confidence will just go skyrockets.
Wow.
And commission doesn't even become that much of a factor
Right.
if you give them the knowledge. They're
Mm-hmm.
just like there's so much trust,
Yeah, that is
so
so
much
true.
trust.
So do you do basically just listings, or you do buyers too? Or do you just pass on your buyers from your listings?
So like I have always worked with sellers and buyers.
Okay.
I have changed a little bit how I work with buyers because I'm a pretty busy listing agent, and I have a passion for listing houses, but I also have a passion to not turn those let those customers of mine that are selling their home just go to any realtor.
Mm-hmm.
And my my dad always struggled. He was in the real estate business for 57 years, and he just retired last year, but he always struggled because he loved to list houses, but he always struggled working with buyers because he was always so busy listing houses. And he would just let his clients go buy a house. He didn't care what they did. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my customer know that I'm going to help them on their buying end when they buy a home. And what I'm going to do is my dream was, and Joe helped me get through this, but my dream for years was to have a showing assistant because that's so time consuming. Just showing houses is so time
Mm-hmm.
consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I kind of coined my showing assistant now. I've had him since 2014,
Oh wow. 6 years.
and I coined him as my professional home shopper because like he loves, I mean, a, a lot of I don't care if you're a man, a woman, or a man. There's just certain people that love to show homes and love to shop. Like my mom was a professional shop, like a professional real shopper. She would love, and she still does. She loves to go to the mall and just like that's her life is to go shop. To me, when I go to the mall, or if I'm going to shop for something, I want to go in there and get what I need to get and then get out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But not my mom.
Well,
My mom, she just loves to shop. She could stay in the mall or any store all day and just like shop. She just that's her passion. And now Phil, my showing assistant, he doesn't like to list homes. He has occasionally, but he really struggles with listing homes. He just loves to shop. He loves to just show homes. And so he was the perfect fit for me. And so like I just tell my client, I say, hey, you know, I'm going to have my showing assistant like show you homes, and then I'm going to write up the offer and I'm going to help negotiate. I've got 35 years experience in real estate. I'm going to be your pit bull negotiator. And Phil is a professional home shopper. He loves to take you out and he loves to help you find a home, and he'll show you homes. He'll give you his idea of value while he's out there. He'll even run comps for you, but I'll run comps too, and I'll actually, you know, like be your negotiator. And they said, hey, that's fine by us. We don't care who gets us in the house. We just want to get in some houses. We don't care who opens the lockbox. You know, like, yeah, send them over. Like
that's
I've
nice.
never had a problem. Like I used to have it in my head that I had to be the one. I had to be the one to show. Like they would be disappointed if I wasn't the one, and they are not disappointed. They just want to get it. They don't care if it's me.
Mm-hmm.
They
So you actually overcame their objection even before they realized there was an objection. You just gave them how you're set up and how it's going to go. So,
I don't
and you're
even,
still,
yeah, like, yeah, I don't ask them, hey, do you mind if I have my showing assistant show you houses? I don't ask that question.
yeah.
I just say to them, well, what's going to happen is when your home goes under contract, or when you want to look at homes, even before a home goes under contract or pending, Phil is going to be the guy showing you homes. And in a pinch, I will, but he's going to be the main guy. And then I'm going to be your negotiator I'm going to, like, I've been doing this a long time. I know what I'm doing, and so does Phil. But he loves to show homes, you know. So that's just how it works for me. But I don't want to take too long because I got to get going here in a little
Yes,
bit.
no, that. but I do appreciate it. Thank you.
You have
Which
any
would
questions?
no, I I'm going to actually, I'm recording, as you can see. I'm going to listen to it again
Oh,
because
good.
you have answered a lot of my questions and kind of pep me up with the boosted, how to go about the listing. And
Uh-huh.
I'm just afraid to do that. But this, the fact that how you do it, like 5, 6, and 7, and then the additional question, and then the 30, 60, 90. I'm actually in a mastermind group. We're just doing this remarkable presentation mastermind. So, and that's what we're working on is the IC, and this would really help. But I definitely thank you for that. And if you could just share the updated version of the 3060, and I'll look up the room to go. I know I do give my room to room review to for sale by owners. Like a lot of my clients will say, hey, I have my neighbor who's selling, but they did an for sale by owner, and I'll have a package that I drop off.
Hold on a second here. Oh, there we go.
Okay. So
Yeah, in
yeah.
fact, I'm putting my email address in here for you right now. And
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and put my assistant's address in here
Okay.
too. Let's see, I just forgot her email address. Hold on a second here. All right, let me pull it up here. Let's see here.
I like your email, Jim by referral only @gmail.com.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Let's see here. Let me just copy her address here. Her name is Elisa. And let me just put it in here. So why don't you email both of us, and then let us know what you want.
Okay.
Just say that you would like to get the updated.
Appendix A, the
Well,
3060.
you may not know what Appendix A is, but
Okay, 306090.
yeah, the 30, 60, 90-day home pricing, and let her know that you want the newest version on the letterhead size document.
Okay.
And
And your Appendix D, which is the 5, 6, and 7, the ladder. Do you have any additional questions that you ask? I know you have some written.
so I think that one's pretty close to being updated, other than, and I don't think I've had her change the question. I just ask mostly now, what's your perfect timing?
Okay.
And that's really not in there, but so anyway, yeah, you can have her send you could say, well, I need the 5, 6, and 7 document, what's
Okay.
important about blank to you.
Okay.
And she
And
would,
when you said you give them the NCR copy, what do you mean by the word, and what does that NCR stand for?
okay, let me just show you. Hold on a second here. I'm walking away for a minute.
That's okay.
Let's see what I can give you that would help you. Here we go. Okay, first of all, I can't tell you what NCR stands for. It's special paper that doesn't have carbon. Like it was the next version.
Oh, okay.
It was the next version after carbon paper, and it's special paper that when you write on it, it goes through to the second page. You can make 3 or 4 pages. You can do that too, but it's like the first page that I make is white, and they get the original, and this is literally the second page.
Oh, okay.
And the second page, this is the here. Let me just do something here real quick. Let me take my virtual background off. It sometimes doesn't work real well. Let's see. Take that off. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is like this is an NCR back page, and when I wrote on the first page, I had my regular blue ink, right?
Got
And
it.
then on the second page, you can see that it came through for my copy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Jim A. Urban's room by room review recommendations: must do, could do, don't do.
Right.
And I just had that made up on NCR. And then I did the same thing. Like, this is like real live stuff I've done. Like, for example, let me find it here. So here's the actual like letter version of what Lisa will send you.
Oh,
And
okay.
this was made up on NCR copy too. So when I'm at the appointment, I just rip off the top. They get the original. There's no NCR carbon paper there's no carbon paper anymore.
Right.
But everything I wrote on the first page ends up on the second page. So I'm not having to write it twice.
Twice, yeah.
And so like here's 30, 60, 90, and so yeah, so it's
Okay.
that's a real life example. I still use it today, every single appointment. And thank you so much for asking
Thank you.
about this. This
Thank-
is like, sometimes I wish I could take people like you on my listing appointments, but
I would love that.
you're in Florida.
I know, right? But I'm just copying your email because before we hang up. But thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. I know you're busy and you still gave me your time, but
Yeah, I think we did pretty good. I think we did
yes,
pretty good.
yes, it was
And
very, very productive for me, and I hope it was for you too. But I'll definitely check back with you, and after I have put all these in together, and I'm going to use it because they do have a buyer's two consultations coming up this week, but it's buyers, and I'll still try to integrate the 30, 60, 90 and see how we can do.
yeah,
That would be
with a
great.
buyer initial consultation, you wouldn't bring any of these forms, but you would
No,
just, you could give them a copy of the book well, you don't have a copy of the book, but you would just talk to them and you would just
right,
say, when I help you find a home, I'm going to quote you my 30-day price, 60 and 90. They're going to go, what's that? And you're going to say, well, I'm going to give you my opinion of what the price really is on the house. I'm going to
right.
give you my opinion of where I think this home is priced.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if it's close to the 30-day price, like that home's going to sell fast. You want to act fast on it if you like the home.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to go, okay, that sounds great. And you're going to be a little bit concerned when you first say that. You're going to go, I wonder if they're going to understand me.
Right.
But people I didn't give people enough credit. People really do pick up on things mostly. There's a few people that I've had to explain it 2 or 3 times to, but that's only like less than 5%
Oh,
of the
wow.
people. Most people get it quick. So,
Okay.
all right. Well,
Sure.
you have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
day.
You too. Thank you so much for your time and help. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. That's what we're here in the community of Buy Referral Only is. We're here to
That's,
help each other.
that is so true. Thank
All
you. Thank you.
right. We'll see you
Thanks.
later. Have a
All
good
right.
day.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.